Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the March 2024 edition of the Mayor's Monthly Video. And we don't have a whole lot on the agenda today, but we do have a whole lot to talk about. So we're going to start this thing with Dale Lucas. He's going to talk to us about our permitting process. Dale's our Director of Environmental Services, and he's also responsible for our planning and permitting activity. Then our City Clerk, Charlene Tucker, is going to speak with us about licensing. Charlene wears a lot of hats. She's a city clerk, she's a treasurer, she's a city revenue officer, and so she's going to explain the business licensing process for everybody today. And then I got two citizen concerns that I'm going to talk about at the end. But before we get started with Dale, I just want to say that we have, from time to time, we have issues with both permitting, where people doing work where they should obtain a building permit for the work. They also have issues when time comes for inspection, building inspections in compliance with the building codes and whatnot. And then from time to time, we have issues with folks not purchasing business licenses in the city of Columbiana. It's best to understand what the requirements are on the front end. So to that end, I've asked Dale and Charlene to come talk to us about it today. I think a good place to start is to look at the zoning map and the zoning ordinances, and you can find those on the city's website at cityofcolumbiana.com. And when you get to that website, you get to our homepage, you look on the far right side of the homepage, you'll see an icon there that says ordinances. I have it circled in red here on this chart. You click on that, and that's going to take you to the ordinance page, and down at the bottom, you'll see the zoning map and the zoning ordinances. And once you get smart on that stuff, give Dale a call and he can explain everything to you, and you'll be so smart you'll be able to ask him a lot of questions, and hopefully it'll save you a lot of trouble. And also, if you remember from everything that Dale was telling you, probably one of the most important forms when you go through this process for getting a building permit is the zoning verification form. I've got a picture of the 3 pages of it here. I'm not going to go through all that, but there's a lot of information that's required on that. And Dale can explain all that to you as well. And I think on the website too, if you go back to the home page, there's a forms icon, and you can click on that. You can get this form, you can get business license form, and any number of forms on that particular page. So Dale, why don't you tell us about permitting for remodels?
Okay, so a remodel is a little bit different. So the permitting process for the remodels, the city requires a zoning verification form for all the following. So electrical, your plumbing, gas, mechanical, which is HVAC, framing or roofing will need a zoning verification form. So you would submit that form for us to approval if the use of that structure is changing, like from occupancy load. Like if you had a retail store and you wanted to put a restaurant in there, then that's going to be a different type of occupancy. So we would need to know that so we can get the fire department involved to do the occupancy for that structure and type of business it is. So if you have any questions with that, you can also call me at 205-669-5814. Once this zoning form is approved by the city, you can then apply for your permit through Shelby County Development Services.
So Dale, if someone is the owner of the property and they're making some remodels or improvements, do they always require a building permit?
Yes, so it depends if the homeowner is doing the work themselves. Then if it's got anything to do with the electrical, the plumbing,
Right.
all those I listed previously, then you would need a permit. But if they're doing painting, a little bit of trim work, light carpenter work, then you wouldn't need a permit.
Okay, good. The use of the structure, particularly for commercial type properties, is a big deal. If we change the purpose of how it's used, that almost always is going to require a permit, is it?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So I think that does it. Like I said, if you have questions and if you have any projects where you think you're going to do some a new build on a piece of property, or if you're going to do some remodeling or repurposing of a piece of property, Check out the zoning map, check out the zoning regulations on the city website, and then give Dale a call, and he can go through all that with you on the front end. It'll save you a lot of time and money. So appreciate it, Dale.
Okay,
Thanks
thank
a
you,
lot.
Mayor.
So now let's welcome Charlene Tucker, our city clerk, treasurer, revenue officer, and just about anything else that you need, our jack of all trades. And she's going to tell us about business licenses and when they're required and what they cost and all the other good stuff there. So Charlene, take it away.
Okay, so Section 115190 of the State Code of Alabama gives municipalities the authority to license businesses. Any business located within city limits or anyone doing business within city limits is required to have a business license. This includes businesses that do not have a presence in the city but deliver into the city and all contractors or subcontractors that have jobs in the city. Municipal business licenses renew every calendar year and expire on December 31st. To prevent late payment penalties, license renewal fees are due on or before February 15th. After February 15th, but before March 15th, the late payment penalty is 15%, and after March 15th, the penalty is 30%. It is unlawful to do business without a license. Failing to obtain a license is a misdemeanor, and the fine for doing business without a license is up to $500 and up to 6 months in jail for each offense, and each day constitutes a separate offense.
All right, before you go on, let's talk about that one for a minute. So your business license, if you get a business license, it expires on December the 31st of every calendar year. So even though you don't get assessed a penalty if you don't renew until February the 15th, you would be operating without a business license between January the 1st and February the 15th if you haven't renewed your license. So potentially you would be subject to a citation and a fine. So it's important for people to understand, even though you may not be paying a penalty until February the 15th, that doesn't mean your license renewal date is February the 15th. It simply means you're not going to get assessed a penalty. You've got to renew it if you're going to continue to do business in the city by the 31st of December. Did I say that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, go ahead. Thanks.
New municipal business licenses are prorated after July 1st and are charged at half rate. License fees are based on the type of business, and the fees are located in the city's business license ordinance. And that ordinance is also listed on our website with all the other ordinances. And also under our Forms tab, the business license application is on the city's website. Some business licenses require additional documentation, such as state contractor's license or Alabama Department of Public Health food permits.
What are in general, what are the fees for business licenses?
Typically, they're around $114 for the year. And that's just the kind of the general fee that most of them are, but some of them are based on gross receipts, or if you're a general contractor, it's more.
Okay. All right. Well, that sort of wraps up the business licenses. That's all I know to ask questions about. So if you have any questions about business licenses, once again, call Charlene. What's the number?
205-669-5801.
All righty. Thanks, Charlene.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. So I want to say thanks to Dale and to Charlene for the information they gave us about permitting and licensing. Once again, always check first before you start any projects or want to do business in Columbiana, and this saves us, you and us, a lot of heartache. So we had two citizen concerns this month. The first one deals with potholes at the railroad crossing near the Columbiana Middle School. And the question that I received on our website was, there are huge potholes around the railroad tracks on Joinertown Road before you get to the middle school. Now technically, and I'm not trying to quibble here, it doesn't actually become Joinertown Road until you cross the railroad tracks. It's Depot Street before that. But nevertheless, that's where we think of, and that's where it's at. I asked, the person says, I asked for these to be fixed before, but it falls on deaf ears. Now, that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, because the first time I heard about this was a few days before I got this on the website, and I started working it right away. Now, I would like to say, if you have called anybody in the city, whether it's our Public Works Department or anybody at City Hall, and you're not getting any response, please don't hesitate to contact me, either on the website my email. You can call City Hall if I'm there and ask to talk to me, because we do try to address these things and not let it fall on deaf ears. And I can't fix the problem if it did fall on deaf ears if you don't tell me about it. So it says the potholes are worse than ever now, and cars are having to drive off the road to go around them. Can you please make this an priority for your employees? Well, first of all, our employees cannot do any work on railroad crossings. Railroads and public utilities are required to keep their tracks in repair, and they are afforded a great deal of protection under federal law. So they're responsible to repair the areas between their tracks and 18 inches on either side of the rails, or in such a manner as the council may or governing body may prescribe. So I had to ask for some advice and opinion from our city attorney to find out what, if anything, could the city of Columbiana do. And what I asked him was, could we compel the railroad to actually fix the railroad tracks? And he tells me that the statute does require maintenance of those rails by the rail lines on the easement or the right-of-way holder. But whether or not the city can compel a railroad to do anything is not as straightforward as a statute may appear. Railroads are afforded a substantial amount of federal protection and oversight and are sometimes slow to act, which is certainly the case. But we tried calling them several times, didn't get any response. And so finally I picked up the phone and called, and I got lucky and somebody answered the phone. They referred me to the right person. And so I did speak to the appropriate people at Norfolk Southern on the 4th of March. And they told me that the track supervisor would look at the crossing and determine the necessary repairs, and they would provide me an update as to what would be done and when it would be completed. Well, within a couple of days, they had already completed the repairs. And you can see on the chart, the preceding chart that I was talking to, that the before and after pictures. Now, I'm not really that happy with the repairs they did. They don't look all that great. They don't look all that professional, but the potholes are filled, excuse me. So if you have any more issues, please don't hesitate to contact me or contact our Public Works Department, and we'll certainly do what we can with the railroad. Now, in discussions with our city attorney, there may be some things that the city can do, some actions that we can take to somewhat prescribe how the tracks ought to be maintained. And I've got to learn some more about that, and I have a discussion planned with our city attorney to learn more about that and see if the city needs to take any action on that. Okay, so the next item that came up was someone complaining about the lane markings at the junction of State Road 70 and State Road 25, Highway 70 and Highway 25 in front of McDonald's. We've contacted AlDOT in our Public Works Department, Alan Reynolds. He contacted them, and then they called me back directly and said they were discussing it with their boss. I asked them who that was. And so right now we're waiting for a response. We haven't gotten a reply from them as what they're going to do, but definitely those lane markings do need to be repainted, and hopefully that'll be taken care of quickly. And I'll give you an update at next month's video, and then between now and then, if it gets fixed, I'll talk about it at City Council. So that's about it for March. So if you have any questions, concern, let me know. Just keep those cards and letters coming in. I'll see you in April.